Good evening. Welcome again to Drunk Shakespeare. Tonight we complete Richard III in the style of Rocky Horror Picture Show. Without no more further ado, please enjoy the conclusion. My lord, my lord!
Who knocks?
One from the Lord Stanley.
What is 0 o'clock?
Upon the stroke of 4.
Cannot my Lord Stanley sleep these tedious nights?
So it appears by that I have to say, first he commends him to your noble self.
What then?
Then certifies your lordship that this night he dreamt the boar had raised off his helm. Besides, he says there are 2 councils kept, and that may be determined that the one which may be make you and him to rue at the other. Therefore he sends to know your lordship's pleasure. If you will presently take course with him, and with all speed post with him toward the north, to shun the danger that his soul divines.
Go, fellow, go. Return unto thy lord. Bid him not fear the separated council. His honor and myself are at the one, and at the other is my good friend Catesby, where nothing can proceed that toucheth us, whereof I shall not have intelligence. Tell him his fears are shallow, without instance. And for his dreams, I wonder he is so simple, to test the mockery of unquiet slumbers, to fly the boar before the boar pursues, or to incense the boar to follow us, and make pursuit where he did me no chase. Go, bid thy master rise and come to me. We will both together to the tower, where he shall see the boar who use us kindly.
I'll go, my lord, and tell him what you say.
Many good news to my noble lord.
Good morrow, Catesby. You are early stirring. What news? What news is this our tottering state?
It is a reeling world indeed, my lord, and I believe will never stand upright till Richard wear the garland of the realm.
How wear the garland? Dost thou mean the crown?
Aye, my good lord.
I'll have this crown of mine cut from my shoulders before I'll see the crown so foul misplaced. But what canst thou guess that he doth aim at it?
Aye, on my life, and hopes to find you forward upon his party for the gain thereof. And thereupon he sends you this good news, that this same very day our enemies, the kindred of the queen, must die at Pomfret.
Indeed, I am no mourner for that news, because they have been still my adversaries. That I'll give my voice on Richard's side to bar my master's heirs in true descent. God knows I will not do it, to the death.
God keep your lordship in that gracious mind.
And I shall laugh at this a 12-month hence, that they which brought me in my master's hate, I live to look upon their tragedy. Well, Catesby, ere a fortnight make me older, I'll send some packing that yet think not on it.
It's a vile thing to die, my gracious lord. What men are unprepared, and look not for it.
Oh, monstrous, monstrous. And so falls it out with Rivers, Vaughn, Gray, and so 'twill do with some men else that think themselves as safe as thou and I, who, as thou knowest, are dear to princely Richard and to Buckingham.
The princes both make high account of you, for they account his head upon the bridge.
I know they do, and I have well deserved it. Come on, come on. Where's your boar spear, man? Fear you the boar and go so unprovided?
My lord, good morrow. Good morrow, Catesby. You may jest on, but by the holy rood, I do not like these several counsels,
My lord, I hold my life as dear as you do yours, and never in my days, I do protest, was it so precious to me as it is now. Thank you but that I know our state secure, I would be so triumphant as I am.
The lords at Pomfret, when they rode from London, were jocund and supposed their states were sure. And they indeed had no cause to mistrust. But yet see you how the day o'er east, the sudden stab of rancor I missed out. Pray God, I say, I prove a needless coward. What, shall we toward the tower? The day is spent.
Come, I'll have with you. What you want, my lord. Today the lords you talked of are beheaded.
They, for their truth, might better wear their heads than some that have accused them wear their hats. But come, my lord, let's away.
Go on before, I'll talk with this good fellow. How now, sirrah? How goes the world with thee?
The better that your lordship please to ask.
I tell thee, man, 'tis better with me now than when thou metst me last, where now we meet. Then was I going prisoner to the Tower by the suggestion of the Queen's allies. But now, I tell thee, keep it to thyself. This day those enemies are put to death, and I in better state than e'er I was.
God hold it to your honor's good content.
Gramercy, fellow, there, drink that for me.
I thank your honor.
I thank thee, good Sir John, with all my heart. I am your debt for your last exercise. Come the next Sabbath, and I will content you.
I'll await upon your lordship.
What? Talking with a priest, Lord Chamberlain? Your friends at Pomfret, they do need the priest. Your honor hath no shriving work in hand.
Good faith, and when I met this holy man, the men you talk of came into my mind. But, go you towards the tower?
I do, my lord, but long I cannot stay there. I shall return before your lordship thence.
Nay, like enough, for I stay dinner there.
And supper too, although thou knowest it not. Come, will you go?
I'll wait upon your lordship.
Sir Richard Ratcliffe, let me tell thee this. Today thou shalt behold a subject die for truth, for duty, and for loyalty.
God bless the prince from all the pack of you. A knot you are of damned bloodsuckers.
You live that shall cry woe for this hereafter.
Dispatch. The limit of your lives is out.
Oh, Pomfret, Pomfret! Oh, thou bloody prison, fatal and ominous to noble peers! Within the guilty closure of thy walls, Richard II here was hacked to death. And for more slander to thy dismal seat, we give to thee our guiltless blood to drink.
Now Margaret's curse has fallen upon our heads, when she exclaimed, on Hastings, you and I, for standing by when Richard stabbed her son.
Then cursed she Richard, then cursed she Buckingham, then cursed she Hastings. Oh, remember, God, to hear her prayer for them as now for us. And for my sister and her princely sons, be satisfied, dear God, with our true blood, which, as thou knowest, unjustly must be spilt.
Oh, make haste. The hour of death is expiate.
Come, grave. Come, Vaughn, let us here embrace. Farewell, until we meet again in heaven.
Now, noble peers, the cause why we are met is to determine of the coronation. In God's name speak. When is the royal day?
Is all things ready for the royal time?
It is and wants but nomination.
Tomorrow, then, I judge a happy day.
Who knows the Lord Protector's mind herein? Who is most inward with the noble Duke?
Your Grace, we think, should soonest know his mind.
We know each other's faces. For our hearts, he knows no more of mine than I of yours, or I of his, my lord, than you of mine. Lord Hastings, you and he are near in love.
I thank his grace. I know he loves me well. But for his purpose in the coronation, I have not sounded him, nor he delivered his gracious pleasure any way therein. But you, my honorable lords, may name the time, and in the Duke's behalf I'll give my voice, which I presume he'll take in gentle part.
In happy time, here comes the Duke himself.
My noble lords and cousins all, good morrow. I have been a long sleeper, but I trust my absence doth neglect no great design, which by my presence might have been concluded.
Had you not come upon your cue, my lord, William Lord Hastings had pronounced your part, your voice, for crowning of the king.
Than my Lord Hastings no man might be bolder. His lordship knows me well and loves me well. My Lord of Ely, when I was last in Holborn, I saw good strawberries in your garden there. I do beseech you send for some of them.
Marry and will, my lord, with all my heart.
Cousin of Buckingham, a word with you. Catesby has sounded Hastings in our business, and finds the testy gentleman so hot that he will lose his head ere give consent his master's child, as worshipfully he terms it, shall lose the royalty of England's throne.
Withdraw yourself a while. I'll go with you.
We have not yet set down this day of triumph. Tomorrow, in my judgment, is too sudden, for I myself am not so well provided as else I would be, were the day prolonged.
Where is my lord, the Duke of Gloucester? I have sent for these strawberries.
His grace looks cheerfully and smooth this morning. There's some conceit or other likes him well, and then he bids good morrow with such spirit. I think there's never a man in Christendom can lesser hide his love or hate than he, for by his face straight shall you know his heart.
What of his heart perceive you in his face by any livelihood he showed today?
Marry, that with no man here he is offended, for were he had shown it in his looks.
I pray you all, tell me what they deserve that do conspire my death with devilish plots of damned witchcraft, and that have prevailed upon my body with their hellish charms.
Tender love, I bear your grace, my lord. Make me most forward in this princely presence, to doom the offenders, whosoever they be. I say, my lord, they have deserved death.
Then be your eyes the witness of their evil. Look, how I am bewitched. Behold mine arm, that like a blasted sapling withered up. And this is Edward's wife, that monstrous witch, consorted with that harlot, Strumpet Shaw, that by their witchcraft have thus marked me.
They have done this deed, my noble lord.
Thou protector of this damned strumpet, talk'st thou to me of ifs? Thou art a traitor! Off with his head! Now, by St. Paul, I swear I will not dine until I see the same. Lovell and Ratcliffe, look that it be done. The rest that love me, rise and follow me.
Oh, woe for England! Not a whit for me, for I, too fond, might have prevented this. Stanley did dream the boar did raise his helm, and I did scorn it and disdain to fly. 3 times today my footcloth horse did stumble, and started when he looked upon the tower, as loath to bear me to the slaughterhouse. Oh, now I need the priest that spake to me. I now repent I told the Pursuivant, as through triumphing, how mine enemies today at Pomfret bloodily were butchered, and I myself secure in grace and favor. Oh, Margaret, Margaret, how thy heavy curse is lighted on poor Hastings' wretched head.
Come, come, dispatch. The Duke would be at dinner. Make a short shrift. He longs to see your head.
Oh, momentary grace of mortal men, which we more hunt for than the grace of God, who builds his hope in air of your good looks, lives like a drunken sailor on a mast, ready with every nod to tumble down into the fatal bowels of the deep.
Come, come, dispatch. 'Tis bootless to exclaim.
Oh, bloody Richard! Miserable England! I prophesy the fearfulest time to thee that ever wretched age hath looked upon. Come, lead me to the block. Bear him my head. They smile at me, who shortly shall be dead.
Come, cousin, canst thou quake and change thy colour? Murder thy breath in the middle of a world, and then again begin and stop again, as if thou wert distraught and mad with terror?
Tut, I can counterfeit the deep tragedy and speak and look back and pry on every side, tremble and start at wagging of a straw intending deep suspicion. Ghastly looks are at my service, like enforced smiles, and both are ready in their offices at any time to grace my stratagems. But what? Is Catesby gone?
He is. Oh, and see, he brings the mare along.
Lord Mayor.
Look into the drawbridge there.
Hark, a drum.
Catesby, or look the walls.
Lord Mayor, the reason we have
Look back,
sent...
defend thee. Here are enemies.
God and our innocence, defend and guard us.
Be patient, be patient. They are friends. Ratcliffe and Lovell.
Here is the head of that ignoble traitor, the dangerous and unsuspected Hastings.
Oh, so dear I loved the man that I must weep. I took him for the plainest, harmless creature that breathed upon the earth a Christian. Made him my book, wherein my soul recorded the history of all her secret thoughts. So smooth he daubed his vice with show of virtue, that his apparent open guilt admitted, I mean his conversation with Shaw's wife, he lived from all attainder of suspects.
Well, he was the covertest sheltered traitor that ever lived. Would you imagine, or almost believe, were it not that by great preservation we live to tell it, that the subtle traitor this day had plotted, in the council house, to murder me and my good lord of Gloucester?
Had he done so?
What? Think you we are Turks or infidels, or that we would, against the form of law, proceed thus rashly in the villain's death? But that the extreme peril of the case, the peace of England, and our person's safety, enforced this execution?
Now fair befall you, he deserved his death, and your good graces both have well proceeded to warn false traitors from the like attempts.
I never looked for better at his hands after he once fell in with Mistress Shore. Yet had we not determined he should die until your lordship came to see his end, which now the loving haste of these our friends, something against our meanings, have prevented. Because, my lord, I would have had you heard the traitor speak and timorously confess the manner, the purpose of his treasons, that you might well have signified the same unto the citizens, who haply may misconstrue us in him, and wail his death.
But, my good lord, your grace's words shall serve as well as I had seen and heard him speak. And do not doubt, right noble princes both, but I'll acquaint our duteous citizens with all your just proceedings in this case.
And to that end we wished your lordship here to avoid the censure of the carping world.
Which, since you come too late of our intent, yet witness what you hear we did intend. And so, my good Lord Mayor, we bid farewell.
Go after, cousin Buckingham. The mayor towards Guildhall hies him in all post. There, at your meetest vantage of the time, infer the bastardy of Edward's children. Tell them how Edward put to death a citizen only for saying he would make his son heir to the crown, meaning indeed his house, which by the sign thereof was termed so. Moreover, urge his hateful luxury and bestial appetite in change of lust, which stretched unto their servants, daughters, wives, even where his raging eye or savage heart, without control, lusted to make a prey. Nay, for a need, thus come far near my person, tell them, when that my mother went with child, of that insatiate Edward, noble York, my princely father, then had wars in France, and by true computation of the time found that the issue was not his begot, which well appeared in his lineaments, being nothing like the noble Duke, my father. Yet touch this sparingly, as if 'twere far off, because, my lord, you know my mother lives.
Doubt not, my lord. I'll play the order as if the golden fee for which I plead were for myself. And so, my lord, adieu.
If you thrive well, bring them to Baynard's Castle, where you shall find me well accompanied, with reverend fathers and well-learned bishops.
I go. And towards 3 or 4 o'clock, look for the news that the Guildhall affords.
Go, Lovell, with all speed to Dr. Shah. Go thou to Friar Penker. Bid them both meet me within this hour at Baynard's Castle. Now will I go to take some privy order to draw the brats of Clarence out of sight, and to give order that no manner person has any time recourse unto the princes.
Here is the indictment of the good Lord Hastings, which his set hand fairly is engrossed, that it may be today read or in Paul's, and mark how well the sequel hangs together. 11 hours I've spent to write it over, for yesternight by Catesby was it sent me. The president was full as long a doing, and yet within these 5 hours Hastings lived, untainted, unexamined, free at liberty. Here's a good world the while, who is so gross that cannot see this palpable device, yet who so bold but says he sees it not. Bad is the world, and all will come to naught, when such ill-dealing must be seen and thought.
How now, what say the citizens?
Now, by the Holy Mother of our Lord, the citizens are mum, say not a word.
Touched you the bastardy of Edward's children?
I did, with his contract with Lady Lucy and his contract by deputy in France, the insatiate greediness of his desire and his enforcement of the city wives, his tyranny for trifles, his own bastardy, as being got, your father then in France, and his resemblance being not like the Duke. With all I did for your lineaments, being the right idea of your father, both in your form and nobleness of mind, laid open all your victories in Scotland, your discipline in war, wisdom in peace, your bounty, virtue, fair humility, indeed left nothing fitting for your purpose untouched or slightly handled in discourse. And when mine oratory drew toward end, I bid them that did love their country's good cry, God save Richard, England's royal king.
And did they so?
No. So God help me, they spake not a word, but like dumb statues or breathing stones, stared each on each other and looked deadly pale. Which when I saw, I reprehended them and asked the mayor what meant this willful silence. His answer was, the people were not used to being spoke to but by the recorder. Then he was urged to tell my tale again. Thus saith the Duke, thus hath the Duke inferred, but nothing spoken warned from himself. Oh, when he had done, some followers of mine own at lower end of the hall hurled up their caps, and some 10 voices cried, God save King Richard. And thus I took the vantage of those few. Thanks, gentle citizens and friends, quoth I. This general applause and cheerful shout argues your wisdoms and your love to Richard. And even here brake off and came away.
What tongueless blocks were they? Would they not speak? Will the mayor then and his brethren not come?
The mayor is here at hand. Intend some fear. Be you not spoke with, but by mighty suit. And look you, get a prayer book in your hand, and stand between 2 churchmen, good my lord, for on that ground I'll make a holy descant, and be not easily won to our requests. Play the maid's part, still answer nay, and take it.
I go, and if you plead as well for them, as I can say nay to thee for myself, no doubt we bring it to a happy issue.
Go, up to the leads. The Lord Mayor knocks. Welcome, my lord. I dance attendance here. I think the Duke will not be spoke withal. Ah, now, Catesby, what says your lord to my request?
We have entreat your grace, my noble lord, to visit him tomorrow or the next day. He is within, with 2 right reverend fathers, divinely bent to meditation, and in no worldly suits would he be moved to draw him from his holy exercise.
Return, good Catesby, to the gracious Duke. Tell him myself, the mayor and aldermen, in deep designs and matter of great moment, no less importing than our general good, are come to have some conference with his grace.
I'll signify so much unto him straight.
My lord, this prince is not an Edward. He is not lolling on a lewd love bed, but on his knees at meditation, not dallying with a brace of courtesans, but meditating with two deep divines, not sleeping to engross his idle body, but praying to enrich his watchful soul. Happy were England would this virtuous prince take on his grace the sovereignty thereof. But sure I fear we shall not win him to it.
Marry, God defend his grace should say us nay.
I fear he will. Here comes Catesby. Here Catesby comes again. Now Catesby, his grace.
He wonders to what end you have assembled such troop of citizens to come to him, his grace not being warned thereof before. He fears, my lord, you mean no good to him.
Oh, sorry I am. My noble cousin should suspect me that I mean no good to him. By heaven, we come to him in perfect love, and so once more return and tell his grace. When holy and devout religious men are at their beads, 'tis much to draw them thence. So sweet is zealous contemplation.
See where his grace stands, 'tween two clergymen.
Two props of virtue for a Christian prince, to stay him from the fall of vanity. And see, a book of prayer in his hand. Oh, true ornaments to know a holy man. Famous Plantagenet, most gracious prince, lend favorable ear to our requests, and pardon us the interruption of thy devotion and right Christian zeal.
My lord, there needs no such apology. I do beseech your grace to pardon me, who earnest in the service of my God, deferred the visitation of my friends. But leaving this, what is your grace's pleasure?
Even that, I hope, which pleaseth God above, and all good men of this ungoverned isle.
I do suspect I have done some offence that seems disgracious to the city's eye, and that you come to reprehend my ignorance.
Oh, you have, my lord. Would it might please your grace on our entreaties to amend your fault.
Else wherefore breathe I in a Christian land?
Know then, it is your fault that you resign the supreme seat, the throne majestical, the sceptered office of your ancestors, your state of fortune and your due of birth, the lineal glory of your royal house, to the corruption of a blemished stock, while in the mildness of your sleepy thoughts, which here we awaken to our country's good, the noble isle doth want her proper limbs, her face defaced with scars of infamy, her royal stock wrapped with ignoble plants, and almost shouldered in the swallowing gulf of dark forgetfulness and deep oblivion, which to recure we heartily solicit your gracious self to take on you the charge and kingly government of this your land, not as protector, steward, substitute, or lowly factor for another's gain, but as successively from blood to blood, your right of birth, your empery, your own. For this, consorted with the citizens, your very worshipful and loving friends, and by their vehement instigation, in this just cause come I to move your grace.
I cannot tell if to depart in silence, or bitterly to speak in your reproof, best fitteth my degree and your condition. If not to answer, you may haply think tongue-tied ambition, not replying, yielded to bear the golden yoke of sovereignty, which fondly you would here impose on me. If to reprove you for this suit of yours, so seasoned with your faithful love to me, then on the other side I checked my friends. Therefore, to speak, and to avoid the first, and then in speaking not to incur the last, definitively thus I answer you. Your love deserves my thanks. But my desert, unmeritable, shuns your high request. First, if all obstacles were cut away, and that my path were even to the crown, as the ripe revenue and due of birth, yet so much is my poverty of spirit, so mighty and so many my defects, that I would rather hide me from my greatness, being a bark to brook no mighty sea, than in my greatest covert to be hid in the vapour of my glory, smothered. But God be thanked, there is no need of me, and much I need to help you where the need. The royal tree hath left us royal fruit, which mellowed by the stealing hours of time will well become the seat of majesty, and make no doubt us happy by his reign. On him I lay that you would lay on me the right and fortune of his happy stars, which God defend that I should wring from him.
My lord, this argues conscience in your grace, but the respects thereof are nice and trivial, all circumstances well considered. You say that Edward is your brother's son. So say we too, but not by Edward's wife. For first was he contract to Lady Lucy. Your mother lives a witness to his vow. And afterward by substitute betrothed to Bona, sister to the King of France. These both put off a poor petitioner, a care-crazed mother to a many sons, a beauty waning and a distressed widow, even in the afternoon of her best days, made prize and purchase of his wanton eye, seduced the pitch and height of his degree, to base declension and loathed bigamy. By her, in this unlawful bed, he got this Edward, whom our manners call the prince. More bitterly could I expostulate, save that, for reverence to some alive, I give a sparring limit to my tongue. Then good, my lord, take to your royal self this proffered benefit of dignity, if not to bless us and the land withal, yet to draw forth your noble ancestry from the corruption of abusing times unto a lineal true derived course.
Do, good my lord, your citizens entreat you.
Refuse not, mighty lord, this proffered love.
Make them joyful. Grant their lawful suit.
Alas, why would you heap this care on me? I am unfit for state and majesty, I do beseech you. Take it not amiss, I cannot, nor I will not, yield to you.
If you refuse it, as in love and zeal loath to depose the child, your brother's son, as well we know your depths of heart and gentle, kind, effeminate remorse, indeed to all estates, yet know where you will accept our suit or no. Your brother's son shall never reign our king, but we will plant some other in the throne to the grace and downfall of your house. And in this resolution here we leave you. Come, citizens. Zounds, I'll entreat no more.
Oh, do not swear, my lord of Buckingham.
Call them again, sweet prince. Accept their suit. If you deny them, all the land will rue it.
Will you enforce me to a world of cares? Oh. Call them again. I am not made of stones, but penetrable to your kind entreaties, albeit against my conscience and my soul. Cousin of Buckingham and sage grave men, since you will buckle fortune on my back to bear her burden where I will or no, I must have patience to endure the load. But if black scandal or foul-faced reproach attend the sequel of your imposition, your mere enforcement shall acquittance me from all the impure blots and stains thereof. For God doth know, and you may partly see, how far I am from the desire of this.
God bless your grace. We see it and will say it.
In saying so, you shall but say the truth. I would I heard you, Buckingham.
What sayest thou, Buckingham?
Then I salute you with this royal title. Long live Richard, England's worthy king.
Amen.
Tomorrow may it please you to be crowned.
Even when you please? For you will have it so?
Tomorrow, then, we will attend your grace, and so most joyfully we take our leave.
Come, let us to our holy work again. Farewell, my cousin. Farewell, gentle friend.
Who meets us here? My niece Plantagenet, led in the hand of her kind aunt of Gloucester. Now for my life she's wandering to the Tower, on poor heart's love to greet the tender prince. Daughter, well met.
God give your graces both a happy and a joyful time of day.
As much to you, good sister. Whither away?
No farther than the Tower, and as I guess, upon the like devotion as yourselves, to congratulate the gentle princess there.
Kind sister, thanks. We'll enter all together. And in good time, ere the lieutenant comes. Master Lieutenant, pray you by your leave, how doth the prince and my young son of York? Brackenbury?
Right. Well, dear madam, be your patience. I may not suffer you to visit them. The king hath strictly charged the contrary.
The king? Who's that?
I mean, the Lord Protector.
And from that kingly title, have they set bounds between their love and me? I am their mother. Who shall bar me from them?
I am their father's mother. I will see them.
Their aunt, am I in law? In love their mother, then bring me to their sights. I'll bear thy blame and take thy office from thee on my peril.
No, madam, no, I may not leave it so. I am bound by oath, and therefore, pardon me.
Let me but meet you, ladies, 1 hour hence, and I'll salute your grace of York as mother and reverend looker-on of 2 fair queens. Come, madam, you must straight to Westminster, there to be crowned Richard's royal queen.
Cut my lace asunder, that my pent heart may have some scope to beat, or else I swoon with this dead-killing news.
Despiteful tidings. Oh, unpleasing news.
Be of good cheer, mother. How fares your grace?
Dorset, speak not to me. Get thee gone. Death and destruction dogs thee at thy heels. Thy mother's name is ominous to children. If thou wilt outstrip death, go, cross the seas, and live with Richmond from the reach of hell. Go, hide thee from this slaughterhouse, lest thou increase the number of the dead and make me die the thrall of Margaret's curse. Nor mother, wife, nor England's counted queen.
Full of wise care is this your counsel, madam. Take all the swift advantage of the hours. You shall have letters from me to my son in your behalf, to meet you on the way. Be not ta'en tawdy by unwise delay.
Bursting wind of misery, my accursed womb, the bed of death. cockatrice hast thou hatched to this world, this unavoided eye is murderous.
Come, madam, come. I in all haste was sent.
And I, with all unwillingness, will go. Oh, would to God that the inclusive verge of golden metal that must round my brow were red hot steel to sear me to the brains. Anointed let me be with deadly venom and die ere men can say, God save the queen.
Go, go, poor soul. I envy not thy glory. To feed my humor, wish thyself no harm.
No? Why? When he that is my husband now came to me as I followed Henry's course, when scarce the blood was well washed from his hands, which issued from my other angel husband, and that dear saint, which I then weeping followed, oh, when I say I looked on Richard's face, this was my wish. Be thou, quoth I, accursed, for making me so young, so old a widow. And when thou wedst, let sorrow haunt thy bed, and be thy wife, if any be so mad, more miserable by the life of thee than thou hast made me by my dear lord's death. No, ere I can repeat the curse again within so small a time, my woman's heart grossly grew captive to his honey words and proved the subject of mine own soul's curse, which hitherto had held my eyes from rest. For never yet 1 hour in his bed did I enjoy the golden dew of sleep, when his timorous dreams were still awake. Besides, he hates me for my father, Warwick, and will no doubt shortly be rid of me.
O heart adieu, I pity thy complaining.
No more than with my soul I mourn for yours.
Farewell, thou woeful welcomer of glory.
Adieu, poor soul that takes thy leave of it.
Go to Richmond, and good fortune guide thee. Go to Richard, and good angels tend thee. Go thou to the sanctuary, and good thoughts possess thee. I, Margaret, for peace and rest lie with me. 80-odd years of sorrow I have seen, and each hour's joy wrecked like a week of teen.
Stay. Look back with me unto the tower. Pity you ancient stones, those tender babes whom envy have immured within your walls. Rough cradle for such little pretty ones. Rude ragged nurse, old sullen playfellow for tender princes. Use my babies well. So foolish sorrows fit your stones farewell.
Stand all apart. Cousin of Buckingham,
My gracious sovereign.
give me thy hand. Thus high, by thy advice and thy assistant, is King Richard seated. But shall we wear these glories for a day? Or shall they last, and we rejoice in them?
Still live they, and forever let them last.
Ah, Buckingham, now do I play the touch, to try if thou be current gold indeed. Young Edward lives. Think now what I would speak.
Say on, my loving lord.
Why, Buckingham, I say I would be king.
Why, so you are. my thrice renowned lord.
Huh? Am I king? 'Tis so. But Edward lives.
True, noble prince.
Oh, bitter consequence that Edward still should live. True, noble prince. Cousin, thou wast not wont to be so dull. Shall I be plain? I wish the bastard's dead, and I would have it suddenly performed. What sayest thou now? Speak suddenly. Be brief.
Your grace may do your pleasure.
Tut, tut, thou art all ice. Thy kindness freezes. Say, have I thy consent that they shall die?
Give me some little breath, some pause, dear lord. Before I speak positively in this, I will resolve you herein presently.
King is angry. See, he nods his lip.
I will converse with iron-witted fools and unrespective boys. None are for me that look into me with considerate eyes. High-reaching Buckingham grows circumspect. Boy!
My lord.
Knowest thou not any whom corrupting gold will tempt unto a close exploit of death?
I know a discontented gentleman whose humble means match not his haughty spirit. Gold were as good as 20 orators, and will no doubt tempt him to anything.
What is his name?
His name, my lord, is Tyrell.
I partly know the man. Go, call him hither, boy. A deep revolving, witty Buckingham no more shall be the neighbour to my counsels. Hath he so long held out with me untired? Stops he now for breath? Well, be it so. How now, Lord Stanley, what's the news?
No, my loving lord, the Marquess Dorset, as I hear, is fled to Richmond, in the parts where he abides.
Come hither, Catesby. Rumour it aboard that Anne, my wife, is very grievous sick. I will take order for her keeping close. Inquire me out some mean poor gentleman whom I will marry straight to Clarence's daughter. The boy is foolish, and I fear him not. Look how thou dreamest. I say again, give out that Anne, my queen, is sick and like to die. About it, for it stands me much upon to stop all hopes whose growth may damage me. I must be married to my brother's daughter, or else my kingdom stands on brittle glass. Murder her brothers, and then marry her. Uncertain way of gain, but I am in so far in blood that sin will pluck on sin. Tear-falling pity dwells not in this eye. Is thy name Tyrrell?
James Tyrrell, and your most obedient servant.
Art thou indeed?
Prove me, my gracious lord.
Darest thou resolve to kill a friend of mine?
Please you, but I had rather kill 2 enemies.
Why then thou hast it. 2 deep enemies, foes to my rest, and my sweet sleep's disturbers, are they that I would have thee deal upon. Tyrrell, I mean those bastards in the Tower.
Let me have open means to come to them, and soon I'll rid you from fear of them.
Thou singest sweet music. Hark, come hither, Tyrrell. Go by this token. Rise and lend thy ear. There is no more but so. Say it is done, and I will love thee and prefer thee for it.
I will dispatch it straight.
My lord, I have considered in my mind the late request that you did sound me in.
Well, let that rest. Dorset is fled to Richmond.
I hear the news, my lord.
Stanley, he is your wife's son. Well, look unto it.
My lord, I claim the gift, my due by promise, for which your honor and your faith is pawned, the earldom of Hereford, and the movables which you have promised it I shall possess.
Stanley, look to your wife. If she convey letters to Richmond, you shall answer it.
What says your highness to my just request?
I do remember me. Henry VI did prophesy that Richmond should be king, when Richmond was a little peevish boy. A king, perhaps.
My lord!
How chance the prophet could not at that time have told me, I being by, that I should kill him?
My lord, your promise for the earldom?
Richmond. When last I was at Exeter, the mayor, in courtesy, showed me the castle and called it Rougemont, at which name I started, because a bard of Ireland once told me I should not live long after I saw Richmond.
My lord.
Aye, what's o'clock?
I am thus bold to put your grace in mind of what you promised me.
Well, but what's o'clock?
Upon the stroke of 10.
Well, let it strike.
Why let it strike?
Because that, like a jack, thou keep'st the stroke betwixt thy begging and my meditation. I am not in the giving vein today.
Why then, resolve me whether you will or no.
Thou troublest me. I am not in the vein.
And is it thus? Repays he my deep service with such contempt? Made I him king for this? Oh, let me think on Hastings and be gone to Brecknock while my fearful head is on.
The tyrannous and bloody act is done. The most arch deed of piteous massacre that ever yet this land was guilty of. Dighton and Forrest, who I did suborn to do this piece of ruthless butchery, albeit they were fleshed villains, bloody dogs, melted with tenderness and mild compassion, wept like two children in their death's sad story. Oh, thus, quoth Dighton, lay the gentle babes. Thus, quoth Forrest, girdling one another within their alabaster innocent arms. Their lips were 4 red roses on a stalk, and in their summer beauty kissed each other. A book of prayers on their pillow lay. For once, quoth Forrest, almost changed my mind. But oh, the devil! There the villain stopped. When Dayton thus told on, we smothered the most replenished sweet work of nature that from the prime creation ere she framed. Hence both are gone with conscience and remorse. They could not speak, so I left them both to bear this tidings to the bloody king. And here he comes. All health, my sovereign lord.
Kind Tyrrell, am I happy in thy news?
If to have done the thing you gave in charge beget your happiness, be happy then, for it is done.
But didst thou see them dead?
I did, my lord.
And buried, gentle Tyrrell?
The chaplain of the tower hath buried them, but where, to say the truth, I do not know.
Come to me, Tyrrell, soon at after supper, when thou shalt tell the process of their death. Meantime, but think how I may do thee good, and be inheritor of thy desire. Farewell till then.
I humbly take my leave.
The son of Clarence have I pent up close. His daughter meanly have I matched in marriage. The sons of Edward sleep in Abraham's bosom, and Anne my wife had bid this world good night. Now, for I know the Breton Richmond aims at young Elizabeth, my brother's daughter, and by that knot looks proudly on the crown, to her I go, a jolly, thriving wooer.
My lord.
Good or bad news that thou comest in so bluntly?
Bad news, my lord. Morton is fled to Richmond, and Buckingham, backed with the hardy Welshman, is in the field, and still his power increaseth.
Hayley with Richmond troubles me more near than Buckingham and his rash levied strength. Come, I have learned that fearful commenting is leaden servitor to dull delay. Delay leads impotent and snail-paced beggary. Then fiery expedition be my wing, Jove's Mercury, and herald for a king. Go, muster men, my counsel is my shield, and we must be brief when traitors brave the field.
So now prosperity begins to mellow and drop into the rotten mouth of death. Here, in these confines, slyly have I lurked to watch the waning of mine enemies. A dire induction am I witness to, and will to France, hoping the consequence will prove as bitter, black, and tragical. Withdraw thee, wretched Margaret. Who comes here?
My poor princess. Oh, my tender babes. My unblown flowers, new appearing sweets. If yet your gentle souls fly in the air and be not fixed in doom perpetual, hover about me with your airy wings and hear your mother's lamentation.
Hover about her. Say that right for right hath dimmed your infant morn to aged night.
So many miseries have crazed my voice that my woe-weary tongue is still and mute. Edward Plantagenet, why art thou dead?
Plantagenet doth quit Plantagenet. Edward for Edward pays a dying debt.
Wilt thou, O God, fly from such gentle lambs and throw them in the entrails of the wolf? When didst thou sleep when such a deed was done?
When holy Harry died, and my sweet son.
Dead life, blind sight, poor mortal living ghost, woe seen, world shame, graves due, thy life usurped. Brief abstract and record of tedious days, rest thy unrest in England's lawful earth, unlawfully made drunk with innocent blood.
Thou wouldst as soon afford a grave as thou canst yield a melancholy seat. Then would I hide my bones, not rest them here. Ah, who have any cause to mourn but we?
If ancient sorrow be most reverend, give mine the benefit of seniority, and let my griefs frown on the upper hand. If sorrow can admit society, tell over your woes again by viewing mine. I had an Edward till a Richard killed him. I had a husband till a Richard killed him. Thou hast an Edward till a Richard killed him, and thou hadst a Richard till a Richard killed him. Thou hadst a Clarence too, and Richard killed him. From forth the kennel of thy womb hath crept a hellhound that doth hunt us all to death. That dog that had his teeth before his eyes to worry lambs and lap their gentle blood, that excellent grand tyrant of the earth, that reigns in gallant eyes of weeping souls, that foul defacer of God's handiwork, thy womb let loose to chase us to our graves. Oh, upright and true disposing God, how do I thank thee that this carnal cur preys on the issue of his mother's body and makes her pew fellow with others' moan?
O Harry's wife, triumph not in my woes. God me have wept mine.
Bear with me. I am hungry for revenge, and now I cloy me with beholding it. Thy Edward, he is dead that killed my Edward, and thy other Edward dead to quit my Edward. Young York, he is but boot because both they matched not the high perfection of my loss. Thy Clarence, he is dead that stabbed my Edward, and the beholders of this frantic play, the adulterate Hastings, Rivers, Vaughn, Grey, untimely smothered in their dusky graves. Richard yet lives. Hell's black intelligencer only reserved their factors to buy souls and send them thither. But at hand ensues his piteous and unpitied end. Earth gapes, hell burns, fiends roar, saints pray to have him suddenly conveyed from hence. Cancel his bond of life, dear God, I pray, that I may live and say, the dog is dead.
Oh, thou didst prophesy the time would come that I would wish for thee to help me curse that bottle spider, that foul bunchback toad.
I called thee then, vain flourish of my fortune. I called thee then, poor shadow, painted queen. The presentation of but what I was, the flattering index of a direful pageant. One heaved a high to be hurled down below, a mother only mocked with two fair babes. A dream of what thou wast, a garish flag to be the aim of every dangerous shot, a sign of indignity, a breath, a bubble, a queen in jest only to fill the scene. Where is thy husband now? Where be thy brothers? Where are thy two sons? Wherein dost thou joy? Who sues and kneels and says, God save the queen? Where be the bending peers that flattered thee? Where be the thronging troops that followed thee? Decline all this and see what now thou art. A happy wife, a most distressed widow, a joyful mother, one that wails the name. For one being sued to, one that humbly sues. For queen, a very caitiff crowned with care. For she that scorned at me, now scorned of me. For she being feared of all, now fearing one. For she commanding all, obeyed of none. Thus had the course of justice whirled about, and I left thee but a very prey to time, having no more but thought of what thou wast to torture thee the more, being what thou art. Thou didst usurp my place, and dost thou not usurp the just proportion of my sorrow? Now thou proud neck bears half my burdened yoke, from which even here I slit my weary head and leave the burden of it all on thee. Farewell, York's wife, and queen of sad mischance. These English woes shall make me smile in France.
Oh, thou well skilled in curses, stay a while and teach me how to curse mine enemies.
Forbear to sleep the nights, and fast the days. Compare dead happiness with living woe. Think that thy babes were sweeter than they were, and he that slew them fouler than he is. Bettering thy loss makes the bad causer worse. Resolving this will teach thee how to curse.
My words are dull. Oh, quicken them with thine.
Thy woes will make them sharp and pierce like mine.
Why should calamity be full of words?
Windy attorneys to their clients' woes, airy succeeders of interstate joys, poor breathing orators of miseries. Let them have scope, though that they will in part help nothing else, yet do they ease the heart.
If so, then be not tongue-tied. Go with me, and in the breath of bitter words, let's smother my damned son that thy too sweet son smothered. The trumpet sounds. Be copious, it exclaims.
Who intercepts me in my expedition?
Oh, she that might have intercepted thee by strangling thee in her accursed womb. From all the slaughters, wretch, that thou hast done.
Didst thou that forehead with a golden crown were should be branded, if that right were right? The slaughter of the prince that owed that crown and the dire death of my poor sons and brothers? Tell me, thou villain slave, where are my children?
Thou toad, where is thy brother Clarence and little Ned Plantagenet his son?
Where is the gentle rivers, Vaughn, Grey?
Where is kind Hastings?
Flourish, trumpets, strike, alarm, drums, let not the heavens hear these telltale women rail on the Lord's anointed. Strike, I say. Either be patient and entreat me fair, or with a clamorous report of war, thus will I drown your exclamations.
Art thou my son?
Aye, I thank God, my father, and yourself.
Then patiently hear my impatience.
Madam, I have a touch of your condition that cannot brook the accent of reproof.
Oh, let me speak.
Do then, but I'll not hear.
I will be mild and gentle in my words.
And brief, good mother, for I am in haste.
Art thou so hasty? I have stayed for thee, God knows, in torment and in agony.
And came I not at last to comfort you?
No, by the holy rood, thou knowest it well. Thou camest on earth to make the earth my hell. A grievous burden was thy birth to me. Tetchy and wayward was thy infancy. Thy school days frightful, desperate, wild and furious. Thy prime of manhood daring, bold and venturous. Thy age confirmed, proud, subtle, sly, and bloody. More mild, but yet more harmful, kind in hatred. What comfortable hour canst thou name that ever graced me with thy company?
Faith, none but Humphrey hour, that called your grace to breakfast once forth of my company. If I be so disgracious in your eye, let me march on and not offend you, madam. Strike up the drum.
I prithee hear me speak.
You speak too bitterly.
Hear me a word, for I shall never speak to thee again.
So?
Either thou wilt die by God's just ordinance, ere from this war thou turn a extreme age shall perish, and never more behold thy face again. Therefore, take with thee my most grievous curse, which in the day of battle tire thee more than all the complete armor that thou wearest. My prayers on the adverse party fight, and there The little souls of Edward's children whisper the spirits of thine enemies and promise them success and victory. Bloody thou art, bloody will be thy end. Shame serves to life, and death attend.
Though far more cause, yet much less spirit to curse abides in me. I say amen to her.
Stay, madam. I must talk a word with you.
I have no more sons of the royal blood for thee to slaughter. For my daughters, Richard, they shall be praying nuns, not weeping queens, and therefore level not to hit their lives.
You have a daughter called Elizabeth, virtuous and fair, royal and gracious.
And must she die for this? Oh, let her live, and I'll corrupt her manners, stain her beauty, slander myself as false to Edward's bed. Throw over her the veil of infamy, so she may live unscarred of bleeding slaughter. I will confess she was not Edward's daughter.
Wrong not her birth, she is a royal princess.
To save her life, will say she is not so.
Her life is safest only in her birth.
And only in that safety died her brothers.
No, at their birth, good stars were opposite.
No, to their lives all friends were contrary.
All unavoided is the doom of destiny.
True, one avoided grace makes destiny. My babes were destined to a fairer death, if grace had blessed me with a fairer life.
You speak as if that I had slain my cousins.
Cousins indeed, and by their uncle cousined of comfort, kingdom, kindred, freedom, life, whose hands so launched their tender hearts. Thy head all indirectly gave direction. No doubt the murderous knife was dull and blunt, that it was whetted on thy stone-hard heart, to revel in the entrails of my lamps. But that still use of grief makes wild grief tame. My tongue should to the ears not name my voice, till that my nails were anchored in thine eyes, and I, in such a desperate bay of death, like a poor bulk of sails and tackling left, rush all to pieces on thy rocky bosom.
Madam, so thrive I in my enterprise and dangerous success of bloody wars, as I intend more good to you and yours, than ever you or yours were by me harmed.
What good is covered with the face of heaven to be discovered that can do me good?
The advancement of your children, gentle lady.
Up to some scabble there to lose their heads.
Unto the dignity and height of fortune, the high imperial type of this earth's glory.
Flatter my sorrow with report of it. Tell me what state, what dignity, what honour canst thou demise to any child of mine?
Even all I have, I and myself and all. Will I with all endow a child of thine? So in the lethe of thy angry soul, thou drown the sad remembrance of those wrongs which thou supposest I have done to thee.
Be brief, lest that the process of thy kindness was longer telling than thy kindness date.
Then know that from my soul I love thy daughter.
My daughter's mother thinks it with her soul.
What do you think?
That thou dost love my daughter from thy soul. So from thy soul's love didst thou love her brothers, and from my heart's love I do thank thee for it.
Be not so hasty to confound my meaning. I mean that with my soul I love thy daughter, and do intend to make her Queen of England.
Well then, who dost thou mean shall be her king?
Even he that makes her queen. Who else should be?
Thou?
Even so. How think you of it?
How canst thou woo her?
That would I learn of you, as one being best acquainted with her humour.
And wilt thou learn of me?
Madam, with all my heart.
Send her, by the man that slew her brothers, a pair of bleeding hearts, thereon engrave Edward and York. Then happily will she weep. Therefore present to her as sometime Margaret did to thy father, steeped in Rutland's blood, a handkerchief, which say to her did drain the purple sap from her sweet brother's body, and bid her wipe her weeping eyes withal. If this inducement move her not to love, send her a letter of thy noble deeds. Tell her that thou madst away her uncle Clarence, her uncle Rivers, aye, and for her sake, madst quick conveyance with her good Aunt Anne.
You mock me, madam. This is not the way to win your daughter.
There's no other way, unless thou could put on some other shape and not be Richard, that thou have done all this.
Say that I did all this for love of her.
Nay, then indeed she cannot choose but hate thee, having bought love with such a bloody spoil.
Oh, look, what is done cannot be now amended. Men shall deal unadvisedly sometimes, which after hours gives leisure to repent. If I did take the kingdom from your sons, to make amends, I'll give it to your daughter. If I have killed the issue of your womb, to quicken your increase, I will beget mine issue of your blood upon your daughter. A grandam's name is little less in love than is the doting title of a mother. They are as children but one step below, even of your metal, of your very blood, of all one pain, save for a night of groans endured of her for whom you bid like sorrow. Your children were vexation to your youth, but mine shall be a comfort to your age. The loss you have is but a son being king, and by that loss your daughter is made queen. I cannot make you what amends I would. Therefore accept such kindness as I can. Dorset, your son, that with a fearful soul leads discontented steps in foreign soil, this fair alliance quickly shall call home to high promotions and great dignity. The king that calls your beauteous daughter wife, familiarly shall call thy Dorset brother. Again shall you be mother to a king, and all the ruins of distressful times repaired with double riches of content. What? We have many goodly days to see. The liquid drops of tears that you have shed shall come again, transformed to orient pearl, advantaging their love with interest of 10 times double gain of happiness. Go then, my mother, to thy daughter go. Make bold her bashful years with your experience. Prepare her ears to hear a wooer's tale. Put it in her tender heart the aspiring flame of golden sovereignty. Acquaint the princess with the sweet, silent hours of marriage joys. And when this arm of mine has chastised the petty rebel, dull-brained Buckingham, bound with triumphant garlands, will I come and lead thy daughter to a conqueror's bed, to whom I will retail my conquest won, and she shall be sole victoress, Caesar's Caesar.
What were I best to say? Her father's brother would be her lord, or shall I say her uncle, or he that slew her brothers and her uncles? Under what title shall I woo for thee? The God, the Lord, my honour and her love can make seem pleasing to her tender years?
In fair England's peace by this alliance.
She shall purchase with still lasting war.
Tell her that the king that may command entreats.
But at her hands which the king's king forbids.
Say she shall be a high and mighty queen.
Veil the title as her mother doth.
Say I will love her everlastingly.
How long shall that title ever last?
Sweetly in force until her fair life's end.
How long fairly shall her sweet life last?
As long as heaven and nature lengthens it.
As long as hell and Richard likes of it.
Say I, her sovereign, am her subject. Lo.
But she, your subject, loathes such sovereignty.
Be eloquent in my behalf to her.
An honest tale speeds best being plainly told.
Then plainly to tell her my loving tale.
Plain and not honest is too harsh a style.
Oh, your reasons are too shallow and too quick.
Oh, no. My reasons are too deep and dead. Too deep and dead, poor infants in their graves.
Harp not on that string, madam, that is past.
Harp on it still shall I, till heartstrings break.
Now, by my George, my garter, and my crown,
Dishonoured and the third usurped.
I swear.
I'm nothing, for this is no oath. Thy George profaned hath lost his lordly honour. Thy garter blemished, pawned his knightly virtue. Thy crown usurped, disgraced his kingly glory. If something thou wouldst swear to be believed, swear then by something that thou hast not wronged.
Then by myself.
Self-misused.
Now by the world.
Full of thy foul wrongs.
My father's death.
And life hath it dishonoured.
Why then, by God.
God's wrong is most of all. If thou didst fear to break an oath with him, the unity the king my husband made, that hadst not broken, nor my brothers died. If thou hadst feared to break an oath by him, the imperial metal circling now thy head had graced the tender temples of my child, and both the princes had been breathing here, which now two tender bedfellows for dust, thy broken faith have made the prey for worms. What canst thou swear by now?
The time to come.
That thou hast wronged by the time o'erpast. For I myself have many tears to wash here after time, for time but's wrong by thee. The children live whose fathers thou hast slaughtered, ungoverned youth to wail it in their age. The parents live whose children thou hast butchered, old barren plants to wail it with their age. Swear not by time to come, for thou that hast misused ere used, by times ill-used or past.
As I intend to prosper and repent, so thrive I in my most dangerous affairs of hostile arms. Myself confound. Heaven and fortune bar me happy hours. Day yield me not thy light, nor night thy rest. Be opposite all planets of good luck to my proceeding, if, with a dear heart, love, immaculate devotion, holy thoughts, I tender not thy beauteous, princely daughter. In her consists my happiness, and thine. Without her follows to myself and thee, herself, the land, and many a Christian soul, death, desolation, ruin, and decay. It cannot be avoided but by this. It will not be avoided but by this. Therefore, dear mother, I must call you so, be the attorney of my love to her. Plead what I will be, not what I have been, not my deserts, but what I will deserve. Urge the necessity and state of times, and be not peevish, fond in great design.
Shall I be tempted of the devil thus?
Aye, if the devil tempt you to do good.
Shall I forget myself to be myself?
Aye, if your self-remembrance wrong yourself.
Yet thou didst kill my children.
But in thy daughter's womb I bury them. Where? In that nest of spicery. They will breed selves of themselves to your recomfiture.
Shall I go win my daughter to thy will?
And be a happy mother by the deed.
I go. Write to me very shortly, and you shall understand me from her mind.
Bear her my true love's kiss, and so farewell. Relenting fool and shallow changing woman. How now, what news?
Most mighty sovereign, on the western shore rideth a puissant navy. To our shores throng many doubtful, hollow-hearted friends, unnamed and unresolved to beat them back. 'Tis thought that Richard is their admiral, and there they hull, expecting but the aid of Buckingham to welcome them ashore.
Some light-foot friend post to the Duke of Norfolk, Ratcliffe, thyself, or Catesby. Where is he? Catesby, fly to the Duke.
Here, my good lord.
Yes, Catesby, fly to the Duke.
I will, my lord, with all convenient haste.
Ratcliffe, come hither, post to Salisbury. When thou comest hither, oh, thou unmindful villain, why stayest thou here and goest not to the Duke?
First, mighty liege, tell me your highness's pleasure. What from your grace I shall deliver to him?
Oh, true, good Catesby. Bid him levy straight the greatest strength and power that he can make, and meet me suddenly at Salisbury.
I go.
What, may it please you, shall I do at Salisbury?
Why, what wouldst thou do there before I go?
Your Highness told me I should post before.
Oh, my mind is changed. Stanley, what news with you?
None good, my liege, to please you with the hearing, nor none so bad, but well may be reported.
Hoy day a riddle, neither good nor bad. What needest thou run so many miles about when thou mayst tell the tale the nearest way? Once more, what news?
Richmond is on the seas.
There, let him sink, and be the seas on him, white-livered runagate. What doth he there?
I know not, mighty sovereign, but by guess.
Well, as you guess?
Stirred up by Dorset, Buckingham, and Morton, he makes for England, here to claim the crown.
Is the chair empty? Is the sword unswayed? Is the king dead, the emperor unpossessed? What heir of York is there alive but we? And who is England's king but great York's heir? Then tell me, what makes he upon the seas?
Unless for that, my liege, I cannot guess.
Unless for that he comes to be your liege, you cannot guess wherefore the Welshman comes? Thou wilt revolt and fly to him, I fear.
No, my good lord, therefore mistrust me not.
Where is thy power then to beat him back? Where be thy tenants and thy followers? Are they not now upon the western shore, safe conducting the rebels from their ships?
No, my good lord, my friends are in the north.
Cold friends to me. What do they in the north when they should serve their sovereign in the west?
They have not been commanded, mighty king. Pleaseth your majesty to give me leave. I'll muster up my friends and meet your grace where and what time your majesty shall please.
Aye, thou wouldst be gone to join with Richmond. But I'll not trust thee.
Most mighty sovereign, you have no cause to hold my friendship doubtful. I never was, nor never will be, false.
Go then and muster men, but leave behind your son George Stanley. Look your heart be firm, or else his head's assurance is but frail.
So deal with him as I prove true to you.
My gracious sovereign, now in Devonshire, and I by friends am well advertised, Sir Edward Courtney and the haughty prelate, Bishop of Exeter, his elder brother, with many more confederates are in arms. In Kent, my liege, the Guilfords are in arms, and every hour more competitors flock to the rebels, and their power grows strong. My lord, the army of great Buckingham.
Out on you, owl! Nothing but songs of death. There! Take thou that till thou bring better news.
The news I have to tell your majesty is that by sudden floods and fall of waters, Buckingham's army is dispersed and scattered, and he himself wandered away alone, no man knows whither.
I cry thee mercy. There is my purse to cure that blow of mine. Hath any well-advised friend proclaimed reward to him that brings the traitor in?
Such proclamation hath been made, my lord. Sir Thomas Lovell and Lord Marquess Dorset, 'tis said, my liege, in Yorkshire are in arms, but this good comfort bring I to your highness. The Breton navy is dispersed by tempest. Richmond and Dorsetshire sent out a boat unto the shore to ask those on the banks if they were his assistants, yea and no, who answered him, they came from Buckingham upon the party. He, mistrusting them, hoisted sail and made his course again for Brittany.
March on, march on. Since we are up in arms, if not to fight with foreign enemies, yet to beat down these rebels here at home. Ah, here comes Catesby.
My liege, the Duke of Buckingham is taken. That is the best news. That the Earl of Richmond is with a mighty power landed at Milford is colder tidings. Yet they must be told.
Away towards Salisbury. While we reason here, a royal battle may be won and lost. Someone take order Buckingham be brought to Salisbury. The rest, march on with me.
Sir Christopher, tell Richmond this from me, that in the sty of the most deadly boar my son George Stanley is franked up in hold. If I revolt, off goes young George's head. The fear of that holds off my present aid. So get thee gone, commend me to thy lord. Withal say that the queen hath heartily consented he should espouse Elizabeth her daughter. But tell me, where is princely Richmond now?
At Pembroke, or at Hereford West in Wales.
What men of name resort to him?
Sir Walter Herbert, a renowned soldier. Sir Gilbert Talbot, Sir William Stanley, Oxford, redoubted Pembroke, Sir James Blunt, and Reist ap Thomas, with a valiant crew, and many other of great name and worth. And towards London do they bend their power, if by the way they be not fought withal.
Well, hie thee to thy lord. I kiss his hand. My letter will resolve him of my mind. Farewell.
Will not King Richard let me speak with him?
No, my good lord, therefore be patient.
Hastings and Edward's children, Grey and Rivers, Vaughn, and all that have miscarried by underhand, corrupted foul and justice. If that your moody, discontented souls do through the clouds behold this present hour, even for revenge, mock my destruction. This is All Souls' Day, fellow, is it not?
It is.
Why then, All Souls' Day is my body's doomsday. This is the day which, in King Edward's time, I wished might fall on me when I was found false to his children and his wife's allies. This is the day wherein I wish to fall by the false faith of him whom I most trusted. This All Souls' Day to my fearful soul is the determined respite of my wrongs. That high all-seer which I dallied with hath turned my feigned prayer on my head, and given in earnest what I begged in jest. Thus doth he force the swords of wicked men to turn their own points in their masters' bosoms. Thus Margaret's curse falls heavy on my neck. When he, quoth she, shall split thy heart with sorrow, remember Margaret was a prophetess. Come, lead me, officers, to the block of shame. Wrong hath but wrong, and blame the due of blame.
Fellows in arms, and my most loving friends, bruised underneath the yoke of tyranny, thus far into the bowels of the land have we marched on without impediment, and here receive we from our father Stanley lines of fair comfort and encouragement. The wretched, bloody, and usurping boar that spoiled your summer fields and fruitful vines swills your warm blood like wash, and makes his trough in your embowelled bosoms. This foul swine is even in the centre of this isle, near to the town of Leicester, as we learn. From Tamworth thither is but 1 day's march. In God's name, cheerly on, courageous friends, to reap the harvest of perpetual peace by this one bloody trial of sharp war.
Every man's conscience is 1,000 men to fight against his guilty homicide.
I doubt not but his friends will turn to us.
He hath no friends, but what friends are for fear, which in his dearest need will fly from him.
All for our vantage. Then in God's name march. True hope is swift, and flies with swallows' wings. Kings it makes gods, and meaner creatures kings.
Here pitch our tent, even here in Bosworth field. My lord of Ratcliffe, why look you so sad?
Oh, my heart is 10 times lighter than my looks.
My lord of Norfolk?
Here, most gracious liege.
Norfolk, we must have knocks, huh? Must we not?
We must both give and take, my loving lord.
Up with my tent, here will I lie tonight. But where tomorrow? Well, all's one for that. Who hath descried the number of the traitors?
6,000 or 7,000 is their utmost power.
Why, our battalia trebles that account. Besides, the king's name is a tower of strength, which they upon the adverse faction want. Up with the tent. Come, noble gentlemen, let us survey the vantage of the ground. Call for some men of sound direction. Let's lack no discipline, make no delay. For, lords, tomorrow is a busy day.
The weary sun hath made a golden set, and by the bright track of his fiery car gives token of a goodly day tomorrow. Sir William Brandon, you shall bear my standard. Give me some ink and paper in my tent. I'll draw the form and model of our battle, limit each leader to his several charge, and part in just proportion our small power. My Lord of Oxford, you, Sir William Brandon, and you, Walter Herbert, stay with me. The Earl of Pembroke keeps his regiment. Good Captain Blunt, bear my good night to him, and by the 2nd hour in the morning desire the Earl to see me in my tent. Yet one thing more, good Captain, do for me. Where is Lord Stanley quartered, do you know?
Unless I have mistaken his colours much, which well I am assured I have not done, his regiment lies 1/2 mile, at least, south from the mighty power of the king.
If without peril it be possible, sweet Blunt, make some good means to speak with him, and give him from me this most needful note.
Upon my life, my lord, I'll undertake it. And so God give you quiet rest tonight.
Good night, good Captain Blunt. Come, gentlemen, let us consult upon tomorrow's business. Into my tent, the dew is raw and cold.
Here's the clock.
Time, sir. It is 9 o'clock.
I will not sup tonight. Give me some ink and paper. What, is my beaver easier than it was? And all my armour laid into my tent?
It is, my liege, and all things are in readiness.
Good Norfolk, hie thee to thy charge. Use careful watch. Choose trusty sentinels.
I go, my lord.
Stir with the lark tomorrow, gentle Norfolk.
I warrant you, my lord.
Catesby,
My lord?
send out a pursuivant at arms to Stanley's regiment. Bid him bring his power before sun rising, lest his son George fall into the blind cave of eternal night. Fill me a bowl of wine. Give me a watch. Saddle white Surrey for the field tomorrow. Look at my staves be sound and not too heavy. Ratcliffe,
My lord.
saw'st thou the melancholy Lord Northumberland?
Thomas, the Earl of Surrey, and himself, much about the cockshut time from troop to troop, went from the army, cheering up the soldiers.
Oh, so I am satisfied. Give me a bowl of wine. I have not that alacrity of spirit, nor cheer of mind, that I was wont to have. Set it down. Is ink and paper ready?
It is, my lord.
Bid my guard watch. Leave me. Ratcliffe, about the mid of night, come to my tent, and help to arm me. Leave me, I say.
Fortune and victory sit on thy helm.
All the comfort that the dark night can afford be to thy person, noble father-in-law. Tell me, how fares our loving mother?
I, by attorney, bless thee from thy mother, who prays continually for Richmond's good. So much for that. The silent hours steal on, and flaky darkness breaks within the east. In brief, for so the season bids us to be, prepare thy battle early in the morning, and put thy fortune to the arbitrament of bloody strokes and mortal-staring war. I, as I may, that which I would I cannot, with best advantage will deceive the time and aid thee in this doubtful shock of arms. But on thy side I may not be too forward, lest being seen thy brother tender George be executed in his father's sight. Farewell. The leisure and the fearful time cuts off the ceremonious vows of love and ample interchange of sweet discourse, which so long sundered friends should dwell upon. God give us leisure for these rites of love. Once more, adieu. Be valiant and speed well.
Good lords, conduct him to his regiment. I'll strive with troubled thoughts to take a nap, lest leaden slumber pays me down tomorrow, when I should mount with wings of victory. Once more, good night, kind lords and gentlemen. Oh, thou, whose captain I account myself, look on my forces with a gracious eye. Put in their hands thy bruising irons of wrath, that they may crush down with heavy fall the usurping helmets of our adversaries. Make us thy ministers of chastisement, that we may praise thee in the victory. To thee I do command my watchful soul, ere I let fall the windows of mine eyes. Sleeping and waking, oh, defend me still.
Let me sit heavy on thy soul tomorrow. Think how thou stabbedst me in my prime of youth at Tewkesbury. Despair therefore and die. Be cheerful, Richmond, for the wronged souls of butchered princes fight on thy behalf. King Henry's issue, Richmond, comforts thee.
When I was mortal, my anointed body by thee was punctured full of deadly holes. Think on the Tower and me, despair and die. Harry the Sixth bids thee despair and die. Virtuous and holy be thy conqueror, Harry, that prophesies thou shouldst be king, doth comfort thee in thy sleep, live and flourish.
Let me sit heavy in thy soul tomorrow, I that was washed to death with fulsome wine. Poor Clarence, by thy guile betrayed to death, tomorrow in the battle think on me, and fall thy edgeless sword, despair and die! Thou offspring of the house of Lancaster, the wronged heirs of York do pray for thee. Good angels guard thy battle, live and flourish.
Let me sit heavy in thy soul tomorrow. Rivers that died at Pomfret, despair and die.
Think upon Grey and let thy soul despair.
Think upon Vaughn, and with guilty fear let thy fall thy lance, despair and die.
Awake
and think our wrongs in Richard's bosom will conquer him. Awake,
and win
the day. Dream on thy cousins smothered in the tower. Let us be led within thy bosom, Richard, and weigh thee down to ruin, shame, and death. Thy nephew's soul bids thee despair and die. Sleep, Richmond, sleep in peace and wake in joy. Good angels guard thee from the boar's annoy. Live and beget a happy race of kings. Edward's unhappy sons do bid thee flourish.
Bloody and guiltily awake, and in the bloody battle end thy days. Think on Lord Hastings, despair and die. Quiet, untroubled soul, wake, awake, arm fight, and conquer for fair England's sake.
Richard, thy wife, that wretched Anne, thy wife, that never slept a quiet hour with thee, now fills thy sleep with perturbations. Tomorrow in the battle think on me, and fall thy edgeless sword, despair and die. Thou quiet soul, sleep. Thou a quiet sleep. Dream of success and happy victory. Thy adversary's wife doth pray for
First was I that helped thee to the crown. The last was I that felt thy tyranny. Oh, in the battle, think on Buckingham and die in terror of thy guiltiness. Dream on. Dream on of bloody deeds and death. Fainting, despair, despairing, yield thy breath. I died for hope, ere I could lend thee aid. But cheer thy heart, and be thou not dismayed. God and good angels fight on Richmond's side, and Richard fall in height of all his pride.
Soft. I did but dream. Oh, coward conscience, how dost thou afflict me? The lights burn blue, and now 'tis dead midnight. Oh, cold, fearful drops stand on my trembling flesh. What do I fear? Myself? There is no one else by. Richard loves Richard, that is, I am I. Is there a murderer here? No. Yes, I am. Then fly. What, from myself? Great reason why, lest I revenge. What? Myself upon myself? Alack, I love myself. Wherefore? For any good that I myself have done unto myself? Oh, no. Alas. I rather hate myself for hateful deeds committed by myself. I am a villain. Yet I lie. I am not. Fool, of thyself speak well. Oh, fool, do not flatter. Ah, my conscience hath 1,000 several tongues, and every tongue brings in a several tale, and every tale condemns me. For a villain. Perjury in the highest degree. Murder. Stern murder. In the direst degree. All several sins, all used in each degree, throng to the bar and cry all guilty! Guilty! I shall despair. There is no creature loves me. And if I die, no soul will pity me. And wherefore should they, since that I myself find in myself no pity to myself? Oh! Methought the souls of all that I had murdered came to my tent, and every one did threat tomorrow's vengeance on the head of Richard.
My lord.
Oh, zounds! Who is there?
Ratcliffe, my lord, 'tis I. The early village cock hath twice done salutation to the morn. Your friends are up, and buckle on their armour.
Oh, Ratcliffe, I have dreamed a fearful dream. What thinkst thou? Will our friends prove all true?
Oh, no doubt, my lord, no doubt.
Oh, Ratcliffe, I fear. I fear.
Nay, good my lord, be not afraid of shadows.
By the Apostle Paul, shadows tonight have struck more terror to the soul of Richard than can the substance of 10,000 soldiers armed in proof and led by shallow Richmond. 'Tis not yet near day. Come, go with me. Under our tents I'll play the eavesdropper, to see if any mean to shrink from me.
Good morrow, Richmond.
Cry mercy, lords, and watchful gentlemen, that you have ta'en a tardy sluggard here.
How have you slept, my lord?
The sweetest sleep and fairest boding dreams that ever entered in a drowsy head have I since your departure had, my lords. Methought their souls, whose bodies Richard murdered, came to my tent and cried on victory. I promise you, my soul is very jocund in the remembrance of so fair a dream. How far into the morning is it, lords?
Upon the stroke of 4.
Why then, 'tis time to arm and give direction. More than I have said, loving countrymen, the leisure and enforcement of the time forbids to dwell upon. Yet remember this, God and our good cause fight upon our side. The prayers of holy saints and wronged souls, like high-reared bullocks, stand before our faces. Richard, except those whom we fought against, had rather have us win than him they follow. For what is he they follow? Truly, gentlemen, a bloody tyrant and a homicide, one raised in blood and one in blood established, one that made means to come by what he hath, and slaughtered those that were the means to help him. A base, foul stone, made precious by the foil of England's chair, where he is falsely set. One that hath ever been God's enemy. Then, if you fight against God's enemy, God will, in justice, ward you his soldiers. If you do sweat to put a tyrant down, you sleep in peace, the tyrant being slain. If you do fight against your country's foes, your country's fat shall pay your pains the higher. If you do fight in safeguard of your wives shall welcome home the conquerors. If you do free your children from the sword, your children's children quits it in your age. Then, in the name of God and all these rights, advance your standards, draw your willing swords. For me, the ransom of my bold attempt shall be this cold corpse on the earth's cold face. But if I thrive, the gain of my attempt, the least of you shall share his part thereof. Sound drums and trumpets boldly and cheerfully. God and St. George, Richmond and victory!
What said Northumberland as touching Richmond?
He was never trained up in arms.
He said the truth. And what said Surrey then?
Oh, he smiled and said, the better for our purpose.
He was in the right, and so indeed it is. Tell the clock there. Give me a calendar. Who saw the sun today?
Oh, not I, my lord.
Then he disdains to shine. For by the book, he should have braved the east an hour ago. A black day will it be to somebody. Ratcliffe?
My lord?
The sun will not be seen today. The sky doth frown and lower upon our army. I would these dewy tears were from the ground. Not shine today. Why, what is that to me, more than to Richmond? For the self-same heaven that browns on me looks sadly upon him.
Arm, my lord, the foe vaunts the field.
Come, Bustle, bustle. Comparison my horse. Call up Lord Stanley. Bid him bring his power. I will lead forth my soldiers on the plain, and thus my battle shall be ordered. My forwards shall be drawn out all in length, consisting equally of horse and foot. Our archers shall be placed in the midst. John, Duke of Norfolk, Thomas, Earl of Surrey, shall have the leading of his foot and horse. They thus directed, we will follow in the main battle, whose puissance on either side shall be well winged with our chiefest horse. This and St. George to boot. What thinkst thou, Norfolk?
A good direction, warlike sovereign. This found I on my tent this morning.
Jockey of Norfolk, be not so bold. For Dickon thy master is bought and sold. A thing devised by the enemy. Go, gentlemen, every man unto his charge. Let not our babbling dreams affright our souls. Conscience is but a word that cowards use, devised at first to keep the strong in awe. Our strong arms be our conscience, swords our law. March on, join bravely. Let us to it pell-mell. If not to heaven, then hand in hand to hell. What shall I say more than I have inferred? Remember who you are to cope with all, a sort of vagabonds, rascals, and runaways, the scum of Bretons, the base lackey peasants, whom o'er their oy-cloyed country vomits forth to desperate adventures and assured destruction. You sleeping safe, they bring you to unrest. You have lands, and blessed with beauteous wives. They would restrain the one, disdain the other. And who doth lead them but a paltry fellow, long kept in Brittany at our mother's cost? A milksop, one that never in his life felt so much cold as overshoes in snow? Let's weep these stragglers o'er the seas again. Lash hence those overweening rags of France, these famished beggars weary of their lives, who but for dreaming on this fond exploit for want of means, poor rats, hath hanged themselves. If we be conquered, let men conquer us, and not these bastard Bretons, whom our fathers have in their own land beaten, bobbed, and thumped, and in record left them the heirs of shame. Shall these enjoy our lands, live with our wives, ravish our daughters? Hark, I hear their drum. Fight, gentlemen of England, fight, bold yeomen. Draw, archers, draw your arrows to the head, spur your proud horses hard, and ride in blood. Amaze the welkin with your broken staves. What says Lord Stanley? Will he bring his power?
My lord, he doth deny to come.
Off with his son George's head.
My lord, the enemy is past the marsh. After the battle, let George Stanley die.
1,000 hearts are great within my bosom. Advance our standards, set upon our foes, our ancient word of courage, fair St. George, inspire us with a pleen of fiery dragons. Upon them, victory stands at our helms.
Rescue, my lord of Norfolk, rescue, rescue. The king enacts more wonders than a man, daring an opponent to every danger. His horse is slain, and all on foot he fights, seeking for Richmond in the throat of death. Rescue, fair lord, or else the day is lost.
A horse! A horse! My kingdom for a horse!
Withdraw, my lord, I'll help you to a horse.
Slave, I have set my life upon a cast, and I will stand the hazard of the die. I think there be 6 Richmonds in the field. 5 have I slain today instead of him. A horse, my kingdom for the horse. Ah!
God and your arms be praised, victorious friends. The day is ours, the bloody dog is dead.
Courageous Richmond, well hast thou acquit thee. Lo, here this long usurped royalty from the dead temples of this bloody wretch have I plucked off to grace thy brows withal. Wear it, enjoy it, and make much of it.
Great God of heaven, say amen to all. But tell me, is young George Stanley living?
He is, my lord, and safe in Leicester town, whither, if it please you, we may now withdraw us.
What men of name are slain on either side?
John, Duke of Norfolk, Walter, Lord Ferrers, Sir Robert Brackenbury, and Sir William Brandon.
Inter their bodies as becomes their births. Proclaim a pardon to the soldiers fled, that in submission will return to us. And then, as we obtain the sacrament, we will unite the white rose and the red. Smile heaven upon this fair conjunction that long have frowned upon their enmity. What traitor hears me and says not amen? England hath long been mad and scarred herself. The brother blindly shed the brother's blood. The father rashly slaughtered his own son. The son, compelled, been butcher to the sire. All this divided York and Lancaster, divided in their dire division. Oh, now let Richmond and Elizabeth, the true succeeders of each royal house, by God's fair ordinance conjoin together, and let their heirs, God, if thy will be so, enrich the time to come with smooth-faced peace, with smiling plenty and fair prosperous days. Abate the edge of traitors, gracious Lord, that would reduce these bloody days again, and make poor England weep in streams of blood. Let them not live to taste this land's increase, that would with treason wound this fair land's peace. Now, civil wounds are stopped, peace lives again. That she may long live here, God say, Amen.